Liverpool have just beaten Aston Villa 2-0 in another convincing win to go 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League. What an insane season they're having. How do you see it ending for them this year? Can they continue this form all year?
At the start of the year, I think I could probably, all Liverpool fans could probably agree with me in the sense of when obviously Slot was to come in, I don't think anybody in the Premier League was going to, see the impact that he actually has created within the club. And nothing has dropped. You'd think the players, they might not underperform, but they might be a bit shell shocked, as to say, with Klopp leaving the club. Obviously, Klopp, an insanely big figure within the club legend established. That status is established, but the impact that this man has brought into the club is honestly, from an Arsenal fan myself. You can see it within Liverpool. I don't know how obviously the fans are feeling right now, but I think towards the end of the year, obviously the season is early. We are very early into the season. Anything can happen. Injuries can happen. All sorts can happen to the season. But Liverpool fans, I would be very, very looking forward to how it's going right now.
I would say that I think the injuries points, it's an important one at the minute because we've seen it at Arsenal with Odegaard missing. City have Rodri missing and half the defence has been in and out of the team. Even Haaland missed a couple of games. Liverpool have managed to skate around that so far and their key performers have performed. But I think I completely agree with you. I expected there to be a huge hangover period after Jurgen Klopp. I thought maybe not to the same level as Fergie, but that's kind of one of the last Premier League managers who was such an institution, who had been there for so long, that we saw leave. And now it's like, well, Liverpool have just gone and got an absolute menace to come in and do it. And honestly, 5 points clear already. At the start of the year, predicted Arsenal to win the league this year. And they have... I wouldn't say that they've fumbled an opportunity. By the way, Faisal is an Arsenal fan, so this is a sticky one for him. But how do you feel in that sense then, looking at Liverpool's performances now and the levels that they're showing, in comparison to maybe Arteta having been with Arsenal for so long, not capitalising on this opportunity in the same way?
It's kind of crazy because you look at Liverpool now and they just look like an unstoppable force. All the players, Mohamed Salah, as I said to my friend earlier, Joe, this guy is one of the best Premier League wingers we have ever seen, if not the best Premier League winger we have ever seen. And I stand firmly on what I've said by that.
Maybe he's definitely one of. I don't know if he is the best, but the mad thing is top three. There's no doubt Salah is one of the top three wingers in Premier League history.
Absolutely. And honestly, every season that goes by, I think you kind of, I don't even know with Liverpool fans, maybe you kind of doubt him to think, can he keep going at that level? Can he keep performing week in, week out, goals, assists every week in the big games, in the big moments? He shows up. And it's rare that we even see it with Haaland. He missed a good chance today against Brighton. He's had a sticky start to the season, but stay humble there.
Moving back to Liverpool today against Aston Villa, a very good side. Villa are doing incredible in the last couple of years, but I think that we're seeing happen to them what happened to Newcastle in terms of when there's more fixtures, the squad's tired. You can tell that the players don't quite have that same energy level. A massive shout out to the set piece coach as well, who was losing his mind on the side of the pitch. He was going feral. But to get a 2-0 win where Villa didn't really have an out-and-out chance, they didn't create a one-on-one. It's just... I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it from Liverpool. And it's not just Salah. Diaz has had an incredible season as well.
Starting, especially the last game. Leverkusen, second half hat-trick. Insane. Yeah. Honestly, absolutely crazy.
Nunes, a good goal today and a big miss today. What do you think of him as a striker since he's come into the Premier League?
With Darwin... The thing is, he's got glimpses, like recently in the, with the Premier League signings we've had like Man United with Højlund, we've had Jackson at Chelsea, we've got Darwin Núñez, obviously at Liverpool. With Darwin, I've always thought, there's some games where he just looks like a world beater. He'll just do something insane, he'll do something, a crazy finish, and you'll just think this guy is crazy. And then, as I said, earlier in the game today, he went through one-on-one, and I said to you before he even reached the goal, I said he's missing it, and Long behold, it's over the crossbar, it's blazed over. I think the problem is I think in them levels with the 1-on-1, I think his composure really lets him down. Like, I feel like, in the big moments, I feel like he gets a bit flustered. I feel like he's in two minds. Like, with number 9s, they already know what they're going to do before they get the ball. They've already analysed the situation and they think, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and the ball's going to end up with the back of the net. I feel like with him, it's just in the moment, it's just an erratic choice he has to make. And he has to make one of two choices where one will either go in the back of the net or one will just end up in, Rose End or, anywhere else but within the player that he wanted to reach. So I think in glimpses, he does look good, but again, it's not about glimpses, it's about the consistency. You need to be consistent. With that chance that Salah had earlier, when he went through with the mistake, the dodgy rebound, I said to you before that it's going in, and it's going in. With players like that, you don't, there's not a hesitation in your brain when it comes to it, because you just think 9 times out of 10, this ball is going in the back of the net. With Núñez, I think Liverpool fans have obviously seen it as well in the past couple of seasons. You don't, it's a 50-50. It's either going in, or it's going in Rose Head, or the other side of obviously the goal.
There's a lot of talk around, and I think, to be honest, the lack of a proper number 9 is something that's happening not just across the Premier League, across the world, really.
Oh, please!
If you think about the amount of top level players, like, you're talking probably 5 or maybe even more of the top 10 valued players in world football are wingers. You got Vinny, you got Salah, Mbappe was a left winger for a little while,
Kylian.
Saka, like all the big star players at all these clubs are all wingers. Exactly. The old number 9s really are old. You've got like Lewandowski, Harry Kane, and I think, now I bring it back to Arsenal obviously because you're here, but Arsenal have struggled with finding a striker, finding goals, especially this season without Odegaard there to string it around. But Liverpool managed to do that even with Núñez on the pitch, but even without a proper out-and-out striker a lot of the time, or a more stereotypical striker. Of course, Jota steps into that role, but he's not exactly what you imagine from a number 9. Liverpool can skirt around it because of how good their wingers are. And it makes me think, if Arsenal do go out and buy like a 80-90 million pound striker, are they just going to have the same problem? Or is it still going to be reliant on Saka? Is it still going to be reliant on Martinelli and Trossard on the other side? But bringing it back to Liverpool, do you think that they're going to win the league now? I
would say it's a bit too early to be calling, for someone who is out and out going to win the league. But if you were to place your bets now, it would be on Liverpool. It would definitely be on Liverpool. My money would be on Liverpool right now as an Arsenal fan. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they look like an incredible, unstoppable force. The football is free-flowing. The attack, goals, left, right and centre. You don't have no problems there. They look like a title-winning team.
Well, we actually haven't mentioned it here, but the defence, more than anything. Like, they've got Van Dijk, who is just a rock. Kelleher in net. Kelleher is the most underrated player in the Premier League right now. I think Liverpool fans are completely appreciating how good he is, and this is not directed at Liverpool fans. But when you're looking at their incredible run right now, everyone's talking about Salah's form, everyone's talking about Diaz. You've heard shouts from McAllister, from Van Dijk, but Kelleher's come in for the best goalkeeper in the world and does not look out of place at all. There was 2 saves he made today against Aston Villa, both from corners.
Incredible.
Top level saves. Incredible. And he's replacing Alisson, who is he must be one of the best keepers we've ever seen in the Premier League. Obviously, he's not been here for long enough yet to, get in like number 1, number 2, number 3. But if he carries on this form for another couple of years, he's definitely going to be up there. I mean, he stops Edison from playing for Brazil as well.
I think the thing is as well with Liverpool, like, the past couple of years, they're world-class players. Like your Van Dijks, your Salahs, as you see, you've got your Alisson. You could maybe have Trent in that conversation.
Yeah, you could at some point.
But their world-class players have been consistent. There has been no drop-off. And the 3 most important players, you'd argue, Salah's, I would say, is the most crucial key to that Liverpool team. I think if Salah is taken out of that team, they don't have another person, they don't have another goal scorer who can do what that man does, especially for that team. And with your Virgil van Dijk, he's just solid. He's just so solid tonight. He was an absolute rock. He was an absolute beast. Nobody could get past him. Do you know what I mean? So with this Liverpool team, honestly, my hats are off to them to win the league right now.
Yeah, I think the only thing is, it comes back to the injury stuff for me. If Salah does get injured, Diaz gets injured, Jota's always injured, so I kind of don't class that as like a massive thing because they will have already prepared for that happening multiple times this season. I mean, they've not even got Salah a new contract sorted out yet. How many goal involvements is he on this season?
Well, I think 9 goals and 9 assists so far.
That is crazy.
Again, as I said, 9 goals and 9 assists. Yeah. We're only this far into the season, and this man is nearly on 20 goal involvements.
He's mental. He's incredible. And there was obviously the big money move that came in from Saudi in the summer, which didn't go ahead. Salah's chose to stay at Liverpool, and I'm surprised that they haven't tried to tie him down to a new deal. But one thing I will say, Liverpool have done a very good job over the last few years of kind of recycling the squad. They let Henderson go when they probably could have kept him for another year or two.
I think his time was done up.
No, and but what I'm saying is a lot of teams keep a hold of those players for a couple seasons too long. Same with Matip, a bit injury prone, but he was still good when he played. They let him go. I kind of feel like we're seeing that with Robertson this year.
Do you know what? I've said Robertson hasn't looked like the same Robertson of so many years ago now. Like, I think he's still good. Like, don't get me wrong, when Saka cooked him the other week, he didn't look that good then. But honestly, apart from that, I rate Robbo. I have liked him. I think in left-back terms, he has been, not of recent, but, them couple of years ago when Liverpool were really dominant, he was definitely the best left-back in the league. Maybe to now, I don't know who you would argue who would be the best left back in the league. Do you know what I mean? I think the left back position in the league is actually quite weak.
Yeah,
you'd argue maybe Guardiola is a left back, but he's a mix. He was up front today. He was up front. He was getting shoved up front, and Brighton 2-1 against Man City, big result by the way. He was getting thrown up front, get me a goal. Pep saying, do you know what I mean? So,
but he has been quite good at that this year.
No. Do you know what? FPL, he has saved me a lot of times. Big up that man, by the way.
No, I'm not. Well, I've got him in FPL, but after today's result, I'm not backing him too heavily. But yeah, I could certainly see Liverpool going ahead and winning the league. And I like the way in which they've done it. It feels like, compared to a lot of teams, Arsenal and Man City, I don't see Liverpool splashing as much cash. And I know when you get the stats up, they will have done. They will have spent a lot of money, of course, they have to be in the position they're in. But it doesn't feel as in your face, if that makes sense. I don't see them going out and buying a Havertz, going out and buying a Declan Rice. Yeah. It's more like a McAllister here, you've got a Szoboszlai there, and you've got a Jota there. It's not quite the same level.
The thing is, I feel like with Liverpool as well, they're a lot smarter with the transfers. Like, I feel like they're quite smart with the transfers. If you look at it, like as you said, we spent 105 million on Rice. With that price, you get a McAllister. You get
McAllister and Szoboszlai.
Exactly. So you're getting 2 players for the price of 1 world class player. And even still, McAllister, absolutely world class. I think McAllister's a world beater. He's an amazing
for 35 mil.
That's for the price that you pay. It's the same case of like when we got Trossard. We were going to sign Mudryk on a stupid, outrageous fee, and then I think everyone was kind of gutted that we didn't end up signing, but we got Trossard. And at that point, I said Trossard for the price that we paid. I think it was about 30 mil, or was it less than 30 mil at that point? And you know what? Recently, his form of recent has been a bit questionable. It's been a bit crap.
But do you think, is that the biggest transfer bullet dodged in Arsenal history? Not signing Mudryk and getting Trossard instead? Like, that must be one of the biggest bullets you've ever dodged. And not just you, any club ever.
Do you know what? I know you say it's a bullet dodge, but again, as I compared Nunes to earlier, he's a player with glimpses. Like last night, the other night when they played and Chelsea cooked that team 8-0, he scored that goal and he flew it into the top bins. And then in games, he does look good. Like against, do you remember seasons ago, he scored that fluky goal against us, that chip over Raya. Like in glimpses, again, he looks good. But I feel like, don't get me wrong, Chelsea were doing poorly at that point when he came into the team. So I feel like that also impacted him as a player. If your team isn't playing good, you're not going to play good. Unless you Cole Palmer. You Cole Palmer. That kid's incredible as well, by the way. Hats off to Cole Palmer because he's absolutely cold. But as I said, unless you are a player of that caliber, unless you are that guy, you will not perform. But I feel like this is the thing. I think about this, and I feel like if Mudryk was in our team, I feel like Mudryk would be a better player, but I don't feel like he'd be that player that we were going to spend all that money on for him to be this absolute world beater. He wouldn't have been that. Well, I don't think he will be that.
I think it's the difference, and this has been showing massively at Liverpool right now, between being a guy and being that guy. So if you enjoyed the video, leave a comment. Let us know where you think Liverpool will end up finishing at the end of the season, if they'll win the league, if they're definitely the favourites now, and hit like and subscribe.
Peace.